Which fantasy football defenses should you start and who should you fade? Welcome to another week of Pick 3 DST, where I give you 3 defenses I like and 1 defense I'm fading for week 18 of the NFL season. I know a lot of fantasy football leagues have ended right now, but there are still some leagues doing week 18 championship weeks, so we're going to go for one more video this season. As a reminder, the most important things for Week 18 are to keep in mind which teams have something to play for, which teams are going to be resting starters, which players have incentives in their contract that are going to help them to get out on the field and try to be productive this week. So those are all things to keep in mind as we go through these rankings, which could look a little bit different than what we've been doing for most of the regular season. Before we get to my picks for Week 18, we have to do our accountability check for what was a pretty solid Week 17 for us. We missed with our sleeper defense, the Las Vegas Raiders, who scored just 1 point against the Colts. Now, even with that outing, the Raiders are averaging 14.8 points, fantasy points per game as a defense over the last month, so it was an uncharacteristically out-of-nowhere poor performance for them. But we hit on our other picks. Our stud defense, the San Francisco 49ers, scored 9 points. Our solid defense, the Buffalo Bills, scored 17 points. And then the defense we faded, the Philadelphia Eagles, lost the game outright and scored just 5 points against the Cardinals. So we like all of those picks for this week. And as a reminder, due to the chaos a little bit of Week 18, you should click that link below to see my full weekly DST rankings, which I'll update as the week goes on when we keep getting up-to-date information. So that will let you know if any of these rankings change, if we get information about players sitting or resting, or more incentives that we learn about during the week. We'll start, as always, with my sleeper defense of the week, which is the Detroit Lions. Consensus has them down at 19th, but I have them 3rd on the week. Now, the Lions don't have a lot to play for. Right now, they're locked into either the 2nd or 3rd seed. However, Dan Campbell has already come out and said he's not going to sit his starters, and winning the 2nd seed, or earning the 2nd seed, does give the Lions potential for another home playoff game. So it is an advantage they're clearly going to try to go after. The Lions are playing the Vikings, a team that has given up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing defenses over the last month as they're rotating between quarterbacks with Jaron Hall and Nick Mullins. So this Vikings offense is an offense that we have wanted to attack. They definitely are missing TJ Hawkinson, which takes a little bit of bite out of that offense. The Vikings do have something to play for, so I expect their banged up players to play this week, but Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, they're not 100%. So even if they are on the field, I don't think we're going to get peak performance out of them. And so I really like this play for a Lions defense that ranks 3rd in the NFL in pressure rate on the year. My solid defense of the week is the Tampa Bay Bucs. Consensus has them at 10th, and I have them 2nd on the week. Now, the Bucs, again, are a team who has something to play for this week since they could win their division, so we should expect them to come out fired up after missing an opportunity last week against the Saints. We also like that they're playing a Panthers offense that looked really anemic against the Jaguars last week, and the Panthers allowed the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing defenses over the last month. So the Bucs have been fine over that stretch, averaging 7.3 fantasy points a game over the last month. So that performance matched up against the Panthers makes me feel pretty good about the Bucs pushing for double-digit point totals against this Bryce Young-led Panthers offense that we really wanted to attack pretty much all season. The Bucs also rank 6th in the NFL in turnover rate on the year. So even though they've been a little bit disappointing as a defense, they can still create some turnover-worthy plays, which should help their fantasy output this week. And before we get to my stud pick of the week, as a reminder, comment below, let me know which defense you're playing this week, or ask me any start-sit questions, which I'll answer as the week goes on. My stud defense of the week is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Consensus has them at 9th, and I had them up at 1st on the week. As has been the trend for this video, the Jaguars have something to play for, as a win will give them a division title. The Titans have nothing to play for other than pride and incentives and player development. However, Will Levis has been banged up and forced to leave the game in each of his last 2 starts, so I don't know how incentivized the Titans will feel to put him under center this week, which means we could see another game of Ryan Tannehill. DeAndre Hopkins does have plenty of incentives in his contract, which he'll look to be hitting, so I expect him to be out there playing, but Derrick Henry is going to be a free agent. We've seen running backs talk about how the running back free agent market doesn't lead to lucrative contracts, so that may impact his performance this week, as you can be sure Derrick Henry wants to go into the offseason fully healthy with the best chance to capitalize on finding a new offer. The Jaguars have averaged 7.5 fantasy points over the last month, which is pretty good but not great. However, the Titans allow the most fantasy points to opposing defenses over the last month. So that's absolutely something we want to take advantage of. While the Jaguars have kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit defensively speaking over the last month or 6 weeks or so, they've been a pretty strong defense over the year. They rank 5th in opponent scoring rate, they rank 10th in pressure rate, and they rank 11th in turnover rate. So we know this defense can perform, and they look good against the Panthers, so I'm happy to roll them out again this week against the Titans. Now we'll end with the defense I'm fading for this week, which is the San Francisco 49ers. Consensus has them first, and I have them down at 19th. Now this 49ers ranking could change as the week goes on, but this is a perfect example of why understanding the context for Week 18 is super important. The 49ers have a bye in the first round. They've already said that Christian McCaffrey is going to miss this week and to rest, and it's highly likely that they'll rest a few other starters, which means we don't really want to rely on them. However, the Rams really don't have a lot to play for. They're either going to be the 6th seed or the 7th seed in the NFC, so it's possible that the Rams could also be resting some starters. As I've ranked them right now, I expect the Rams to play some of their starters and the 49ers to rest most of their starters. If we find out that the 49ers and Rams will both be resting starters, I'll probably move the 49ers up just outside of the top 10, so they won't be a defense we need to fade, but I'm certainly not putting them inside of the top 5 with so many question marks. And that's a good example of why we need to keep checking the weekly DST rankings as the week goes on and understand the larger team context before you lock in a defense for your fantasy football championship week. That's going to do it for Week 18. As a reminder, hit that button below to like and subscribe to get all of our NFL content during the playoffs. Comment below to let me know which defense you're starting or ask me any start-sit questions as the week goes on. Happy New Year, and thank you for being here with me on Pick 3 DST all season, and I will see you next year for more defense picks. Good luck on Sunday.